The most recent videos that I have been posting here on the channel have of course been from the great walks that I was hiking primarily over the last summer season, and I do want to continue along in that vein in this video today and also in future videos. This video series will be primarily directed at beginner hikers or those who are relatively new to hiking and tramping in New Zealand and perhaps haven't yet had the opportunity to get out on a multi-day trip or a great walk. In today's video we are going to be taking a deep dive into all of the electronics, navigational tools and personal safety items that I suggest you take with you on the New Zealand Great Walks. That brings us to the electronic items that are in my gear list and potentially could also be in yours, because chances are, even though you are going out into the wilderness and you should be away from a lot of those electronics, there are some items that you'll probably have to carry, even if that just comes down to your cell phone. So cell phones can be really useful when you're out on the trail. Some of the trails out there do have access to a little bit of cell phone coverage, particularly at high places along the trail if you're wanting to text people at home and let them know that you're okay. But they can also be really great navigational tools, because as much as Mountain Safety Council and Department of Conservation tell me I need to know how to read a paper map and use a compass, I still will hold my hand up and say that I don't know how to yet. So I just download a couple of topographical maps onto my phone and use those if I get to a junction in the track and I need to know which way to go. I will say though that most of the great walks are very well signposted and marked, and for the majority of the time you're going to be out there are going to be a lot of other hikers as well, which you'll probably just be able to follow down the trail. Of course, cell phones can also be used for entertainment when you're at a hut as well. It's always nice to have a little bit of music to listen to, or potentially even an audiobook, and so if you're going to be listening to things, you don't want to be disturbing other hikers. So I just carry with me a set of Bluetooth earbuds, which are very lightweight and easy to carry with me. They stash away in my pack nicely and I can just get them out whenever necessary. Now also another really important safety item to make sure that you have with you regardless is a headlamp. Now this can be used obviously at night time in the hut, although a lot of the Great Walk huts these days do have solar powered lighting, so you don't need to worry too much about that, but good for when you're popping off to the toilet, and also in the uneventful scenario that you end up getting lost and maybe you do need to do a little bit of night hiking, a headlamp will come in very handy. You can either buy a headlamp that is battery powered, in which case you will need to make sure you take with you a spare set of batteries just in case they run out, or these days you can also pick up USB rechargeable headlamps, which brings me on to my next item of gear, which is a battery power bank of some sort. If you're going to be taking electronics with you at all on the trail, then it is a really good idea to make sure that you do have some method of charging them if they do become depleted. And you can pick these chargers up for relatively cheaply these days, and also in relatively lightweight formats. The only thing I suggest is that make sure that you do have enough charging capacity to charge the items that you are taking with you. So as a general guide, I try to make sure that I'm buying a battery bank with the capacity to do at least 2 charges on my cell phone, and potentially even 1 charge of my rechargeable headlamp. Now most cell phones these days are around about 4 to 4,500 milliamp hour battery capacity, which means that generally you're going to be looking at around about a 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank if you are looking at taking one of those with you. Of course, if you're taking a battery charger, you'll also need to make sure that you have the charging cables to go with that. So not only make sure that you've got a charging cable to charge your phone, but also any other headlamps or rechargeable gear that you've got with you. You might also want to take with you a little charging brick as well. Even though you're not going to be able to use that in the huts, once you're finished your trip, if you're not going straight home afterwards, you might need to just take that with you to make sure you can charge your phone at the end of your trip. And finally, on the electronic side of things, loosely covered under that category is some kind of personal safety or SOS device. Now I actually have purchased in the past and choose to use my GPS device, which has SOS capacity built into it. That means that if I get lost anywhere, I can push a little button on the side of it and signal for some help to come along. Of course, it's more popular for people to carry personal locator beacons with them on these trails, and for what it's worth, I think that these are non-negotiable. If you're going out into the backcountry, you really should be taking a personal locator beacon or PLB with you. Now these can be quite expensive, and I know that that often puts a lot of people off, But just to let you know that there are so many options these days for hiring PLBs that really there are no excuses anymore. You can generally pick one up for hire for about $10 a day. I'd encourage you to just Google search personal locator beacon hire in New Zealand, or else get in touch with the local dock office or information centre close to the track that you're going to be attempting and see if they have any suggestions for where you might be able to hire them from. That is the end of this instalment. I hope that you have found it very helpful and informative in terms of planning your gear list for your upcoming great walks. If it has been a little bit broad and you would like a few more specifics, then please don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below or get in touch with me via the contact form on my website. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned for the next instalment coming soon.